All right, for anybody tuning in, welcome. As I mentioned during the last stream, I'm going to be trying to separate content. Right now, I'm streaming on YouTube. Well, if you're watching, you probably know that. And just YouTube, where I'm going to be going on pretty much a discussion panel or a debate panel that's just for fun, not serious topics. I posted in the Discord what the topics are. Bob Marley, welcome. Thank you so much for passing by. I'm super appreciated. Always grateful. And welcome to the experiment. Also, hopefully, no connection issues. We're going to hop right into it. The topics, well, you'll see the topics. And I think moving forward, I'm going to attempt to pretty much have the discussion panels or debate panels on YouTube, or pretty much all content on YouTube, and the Twitch just reserved for the science and research. But yeah, Bob Marley, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for passing by, and we're gonna get right into it. And I'm entertaining I have to solve my connection issue. I might stream on Twitch I might stream on Twitch after the debate panel, just to iron out tech issues. I don't have any content planned, but I really want to solve these tech issues because they're a nightmare, and it's just really frustrating. But we're gonna get right into it. Second.
Star something.
Straighterade.
Straighterade, yeah, and Pixie. And it's not that it wasn't nice. I was just looking for something spicier. But good to know.
You said you were looking for some chill.
Yes.
And now you're upset that it wasn't spicier.
I wanted chill in a spicy way. I wanted to chill with spice. I wanted you to be your drama self, you know? I was jealous I didn't get to participate, okay? That's the problem. I wanted to be there too.
That's rough.
You suck. Hi, Corey.
Hello. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, exactly, Bob Marley. A non-serious debate panel.
I don't know if my chat is still mad at me.
Why is your chat? Well, I think at this point, there's always at least one chatter that's mad, no matter what.
No, okay, they can hear you now. I don't know. They're being weird. And Corey, I haven't seen you in 2,300 years.
No, it's 2,299 years. Way off.
Do you guys know each other at all?
Look, I know of Tom because I watched on your channel when you had the Jordan Peterson stuff, but I don't think I've ever interacted with Tom. But pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What was your name?
Corey Campbell.
Corey. Nice.
Oh my god, Tom, I completely forgot about the Jordan Peterson thing. That was so long ago.
I was thinking about posting it more recently because I thought it wasn't time sensitive, so I can still go and edit the 5 hours of
if
stuff
anything is distracting
now.
my overlay.
Oh, you mean with the
spinning
erudite
of the
stuff?
DNA?
Yeah,
let me know.
I don't know.
Or if you think things could be censored
Yeah,
better.
I mean, it wasn't anything specific, so
Go ahead. It's always always interested to see who shows up on time and who is going to be delayed.
Well, Tom showed up on time, which is a surprise because no one expected him to do that.
No tomfoolery from tomfoolery.
I've been doing panels for a while, okay? I'm a freaking pro. I'm never late for anything.
I was sure, because Tom always streams at 4 a.m. my time, 5 a.m. my time, so I was sure he got the time zones wrong. And at this time he's gonna DM me and he's gonna be like, no, I thought you meant 6 a.m. or something crazy like that.
I'm Eastern time. Your stuff is showing what time it goes live Eastern time. I'm Eastern time, so
yes, but why do you stream so late?
Because that's when I freaking stream.
Yes, so I figured you streamed that late because you have a job or something before, but apparently you just stream late because you're a degenerate.
Mhm.
Okay, you're being difficult. That's fine.
I mean, we're all degenerates on Twitch.
Oh no, I just had someone drop. Okay, who wants to join us? Chat. I'm giving you an exclusive opportunity to join the panel because I have like potentially 2 people who dropped out if Portland doesn't show up.
Let's get DK on here. He seems to have a lot of questions for you.
It's not an interview. It's well, maybe
Well,
it is.
I mean,
It's Katie's
you'll
show.
be on the same panel now, so.
It's meant to be a meme panel. Also, how does DK have a lot of questions for me? Isn't he busy like yelling at me that I'm a crazy bitch every time like he talks about me?
Maybe that's some of the questions he has then.
Why would I ever talk to someone who's that deranged and incapable of like having a normal conversation like an adult?
Isn't that the point in the panel?
No.
Well, I showed up to the wrong panel then. I'm
Also,
supposed to
this
be
is a
somewhere
meme
else
panel.
right now.
This is a meme panel, not a like if DK thinks like my life is like the Katie panel meme, then like DK can go fuck himself, right? Yeah, Corey, can you vouch for the Zerno Elite?
Yeah, absolutely. I can. 100%.
Yeah. Join I'll pop the Discord in and then you can add me. Coco, do you want to join as well? I'm seeing you, so I'm wondering if you want to join too.
Zeron's a mod in my one of the only mods that I have in my community. That says something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have mods either, apparently. Or, well, kinda. It's complicated. Do I have you as a friend? Yes, I do have you as a friend. Okay, then I'll add you. And then you can join the group, and then you can join the link. And Zerno, you can do the same. So I'm meant to drop my Discord link here in chat, and then you can DM me or something or send me a friend request, and then I'll add you to the group. Where does I know? That's very funny, Nighthawk. Okay. So, just to... is the girl that you talked to last night, Stargate? Is that Aaron? Is that...
Yeah, Aaron is straighterade.
And there's another name.
Pixie.
Nevu? Nebu? Or is that a different girl?
Nev.
Nev.
Nev is a different girl.
Nev is a different girl. Okay, that's what I thought. That was really confusing. So, Aaron was not on the Whatever podcast?
Aaron was the one who got kicked off of the Whatever podcast.
And Nevu is someone who didn't get kicked out.
Just Nev, not Nevu. Just Nev.
I don't know why I'm saying Nevu. It feels nice.
Nev did not get kicked off, but she was also on the Whatever podcast on the same show.
Okay.
She's been on twice.
I see. Everyone keeps asking me when I'm going to Miami, and I don't know why they keep asking me that. It's confusing.
They want you to debate all like whatever. There's it seems like there's multiple podcasts out of there, Fresh and Fit, that Whatever podcast. So it's like I think other people are making the rounds. I think they want you to make the rounds.
Oh God, but I'd never go on it. Like, I think going on a podcast like that is just like entering a really hostile environment where you're unlikely to ever get like respect or time to actually talk, right? So
I
like,
thought
what
Whatever
would be the point?
podcast was in California. I'm pretty sure it is. Whatever's in California, Fresh and Fit is in Miami.
I'm totally not the most informed on these things. I know there are some podcasts in Miami, and I believe Destiny lives.
That's what I thought. I could be wrong, but when Destiny was on there, Destiny lives in Miami,
We got a
and
VTuber.
he said that he had to like drive way out there. So,
I'm waiting for your friend Corey.
I mean, are they aware that it's on StreamYard? They might.
Well,
think it's
they
only on
needed
Discord.
to. They need to add me as a friend on. Zerno, you need to add me as a friend on Discord so I can add you to the group chat so I can send you the StreamYard link. It's very complicated. And then we're 5. Then who am I missing? Because I dropped 2, but I just added 2. So Demi, I'm missing Demo. DM. Tom, if this would have been your panel, no one would have been late.
just tell everybody it's my panel.
You think
Tell
that's
'em
gonna
now.
work?
You're the one who thinks it's gonna work, so go tell him now.
No, I think it would have worked if, like, in advance we would have, like, figured it. You know what I mean? Now it doesn't work because I don't.
Oh,
have
you're
the
saying
authority.
like I would have like made sure everybody was gonna.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that I didn't get like a bunch of DMs today. Like, you're still on, right? You're still coming? You're sure you're still coming? I didn't.
Is that
get-
something I'm supposed to do?
Generally, that's what I do. That's what most people do. Is
Yes.
they keep messaging everybody.
Nah, it's fine.
I
That's
don't
why
think
I
I've
don't like
ever
doing
not
panels.
no-showed on a panel. Like, pretty
Ever
consistent.
not no-showed? That means you've always no-showed?
No, I've always shown up to every panel that I've said that I will show up, and I've showed up on time.
I have definitely been late. But I usually show up. I also don't go on panels as much anymore because, God, I hate them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I still go on them. I'm not saying I don't hate it, but I have mixed feelings, that's for sure.
Okay, Zerno is typing. That's a bad sign. Typing is never good. Oh no. Okay. My first topic is as follow. It's in the category of sex, and we're going to decide what's better, to have sex fully nude or to have sex with clothes on or with lingerie on. So we're gonna go, each of you, and you're gonna say which position you're on, and then we're gonna discuss.
I need to clarify first before we get in. Do socks count as clothes?
Just for the sake of this panel, if anyone brings up having sex solely with socks, I will kick you.
No.
Is that a promise?
Yes. Okay.
I need to
Tom?
come up with a new position.
Yeah. Tom, what's your position?
Yeah, everybody should always have sex with clothes on. People are really gross naked. Nobody looks good naked. Everybody pretends they look good naked, and everybody pretends they like when people are naked, but nobody likes it when people are naked. Everybody looks better with clothes on.
So you also prefer the woman that you're having sex with to be fully clothed?
Yeah, so like maybe not necessarily fully clothed, like less clothes, right?
Less.
Lingerie, stuff like that, but definitely with clothes still on. Yeah.
Okay. Corey?
Oh,
Did you figure out a new position?
I'm totally on the opposite. So even though I would prefer, to have my feet covered in socks, because that's reserved for my OnlyFans content. Not even my partner's getting my feet content. But at the end of the day, I strongly disagree with Tom. I think I look good naked. So do my partners. I'm proud of the nudity of my partners. I'm all nudity, and I'm all for nudity. Clothing, that's an antiquated concept. People should embrace more nudity. And I think Tom is self-reporting. I think there are totally bodies that look good naked. and I'm proud that I think I look good naked. At least, unless my partners are lying to me, I think I look good naked. So to my partners, I'll leave it there.
They're lying too.
Okay, Coco.
Well, I do have like a banned cake with Katie. So like anytime she says like don't do something or you'll get banned, I'll fight my desire to do it because I really want to advocate for what she said not to advocate for.
Mhm.
But my honest position is like right in the middle of Tom and Corey. I think that clothes are good, and in the general sense, people should have clothes on. But when it comes to having sex,
You have to pick a side.
You should take them all off.
Okay, so you're on Corey's side.
Well, yeah.
For sex. We're talking about
yeah,
sex.
Yeah, for sex.
Okay. My position. What is my position? No, fuck that. I love lingerie, and I don't care how my partner looks, so I'm not even looking at them. But I want to have my bra on. Okay, that's just like my personal position. Like, you guys don't get this because you're men, but like having your tits like fly around everywhere and not being held in a bra when you're having sex is like inconvenient and annoying. So like,
And one of the great joys of being on bottom when you're having sex.
okay, but it's not about what you enjoy, it's about my comfort, you know? So that's how that works.
That's-
Okay.
Oh, we're open. Yeah, okay, let's fight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna push back of like you don't care at all what your partner. You're not. I think Katie said you don't look at your partners at all. Like, so it's really not about mutual pleasure or mutual enjoyment. It's really all about like the most.
If you want me to enjoy myself, I better not look. Okay, like I'm very special. Like I'm not the. I have some my own preferences. So yeah, it's not about that. Also, chat, I completely forgot to do the poll for who's winning. So you guys can say your
nice.
opinions as well.
Awesome.
Oh my god. Okay. Hello.
Sorry.
Well, you joined us, so now you can. Do you know what we're talking about even?
No, I wasn't on the Twitch stream. I'm using mobile, so I can only access certain apps at a time.
Okay.
It's an old phone.
So, we're discussing what's better with having sex, being fully nude or having clothes or lingerie on. If you'll bring up having sex nude but with socks on, I will kick you and ban you from my stream.
There's no reason to wear socks inside unless you're sleeping. That improves blood circulation. Otherwise, no.
That's a good enough response. You get to stay for now. So Tom's position is that people should be generally clothed or with lingerie. I agree because me and Tom are of the same mind. That's why we're getting married. And Corey and Coco are with the weird position that you should be nude while having sex, which is, I know, disturbing, but we're here to discuss. So the first thing that you need to do is to tell us what your position is. And then we'll go from here.
So, I think in terms of just, I don't think there's really a should. It's not like there's some kind of moral position here. But I think in terms of...
No, there is. This is what this show is.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yes,
So the objective moral correct position is to where, I don't know, I'm going to be a centrist on this one, okay? So I'm going to be a fence sitter, a real liberal type. We're going to debate this until we find out the real result, and it'll be found through consensus. I don't know. In terms of what kind of, I would prefer personally to have some kind of lingerie. I think that if you're constantly nude with your partner, then there's really no spice to it, and there's also the element of even during the act you can sort of change things up. If you're already nude, then it's just like, I don't know. I feel as though I'm not the most sexual creature, but I think I go with lingerie. It's a leaning in that direction.
So it seems like we have a consensus.
Wait, if you go with lingerie,
No.
wait, by the time the act is finished, is this lingerie still going to be on?
And
I don't
Depending on the
really,
act.
Yeah, it depends on the act. Like, I think definitely sex should start with most clothes on. I think that's an element that is often ignored. The idea of let's go to the bathroom and get completely undressed and be in separate rooms, like that act should be part of the experience. So I think that definitely sex ends with less clothes than it starts with.
Okay. Then maybe we need. Okay, then let's make it specific then, because now I'm not sure that you're with us. So
The question is, which part is better? Which is the closed part or the unclosed part?
Well, first of all,
when you're actually doing the act, not the foreplay, not the you're kissing, but like when it's time to have sex. Are you doing?
Do you mean penetration when you say time to have sex? Because you could just say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for me, that's not the main part of the experience, but I would say generally I'm nude. It's simpler, really, is the thing. The simplicity of it means that you're not dealing with, I don't know. I think in the end, when you get to that point, if we're talking about sex as like reducing it to penetration, then yeah, I think I go with nude.
And I need to clarify Tom's position, because he's on the clothing position. So is he self-reporting also that he wears lingerie? Is he on Katie's camp as well? I know no judgment on my part. It's totally valid. I'm just like very curious. Like,
yeah, Tom.
You want lingerie for both yourself and your partner, is what I'm hearing.
Well, so I'm not so much talking about myself. I don't really care what I do. I'll do whatever the other person wants me to do. But I prefer the other person have some clothes on. But
what if the other person
what about you? What about you?
What if the other person wants you to wear lingerie?
If I will not wear lingerie if they want me to wear lingerie.
What if it's nice lingerie?
Yeah. There's different kinds of lingerie. It's not all one.
What if it feels good? What if it's silky and it's your favorite color? What's your favorite color?
I don't know. Gray, black.
He wasn't prepared for this part of the panel.
I think Tom is actually on our side, because I think Tom likes to be nude himself.
Yeah.
The silent majority.
Yeah, generally I'm going to be nude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're flip-flopping then.
No, I'm not. So I like my partner to have some clothes on. So like I generally like it if they are like wearing a dress or like a skirt or like, or they have lingerie on or, like long socks, like all those sorts of things that like leaving some to the imagination, things being held in place, that kind of all is makes things better.
I think the easiest way to distinguish this now is to be like, it seems that there might be a distinction between what you in this question in terms of what you prefer your partner to be versus what one might prefer to be. And also the second then distinction that we should make is like, maybe a better question to ask is which sex is better, like when we're speaking of like penetration, for example, or other types of like oral sex, with clothes or nude. Because when I'm thinking about like wearing a skirt and shit and fucking, that's a lot hotter to me than like being naked and fucking,
Yeah.
So
I also need to clarify again, not to target you, Tom, but it's also like a self-report of like your original statement was like, yeah, clothing, bodies don't look good naked, but then you're saying you prefer your partners to be clothed. Are you pretty much like denigrating your partners? They don't look good naked, but you're okay with nudity?
Well, maybe like not specific partners, probably just women in general, just look better with some clothes on.
What? Yeah. Strong disagree.
Yeah. What women have you been looking at? Like, I'm sorry, but
it has nothing to do with.
I've never heard the band say that before.
With which women, because even if I watch porn, I'm gonna watch porn with like some clothes on as well, or some lingerie, or all the same thing. So it's like it's not specific women that I'm talking about. I'm talking about all women.
Hey, not all women.
The way I heard another guy talk about it, because he also had a lingerie fetish. Not that you have a lingerie fetish, Tom, but like
I would not say that.
No.
Yeah, the other guy who's just like you.
No, he's not just like him. But the way that I heard it described, it's kind of like how women in lingerie or that they're clothed besides the fact that there's more like intrigue and more mystery and like the imagination is much more stimulating than what you're actually looking at, it's also like this concept of like unwrapping a present kind of thing. So there's a lot of stimuli and playfulness. It's like it's a lot more complex than, oh, you're really soft and like nipples, you know, like it's a lot more interesting where something covers the nipples and you get to think about the nipples, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said like leaving some up to the imagination and everything getting held in place as well. Like this is all very attractive.
Yeah, I could understand leaving something up to the imagination, like when you're thinking about having sex with this person. But the reason you're thinking about it is because you want to like reach that point when you actually do have sex with them.
Yeah, there's got to be a payoff. Like, just like I like mystery in movies, but I want the reveal. I want the twist. In every sense of the word.
What if the reveal is less good than your imagination? Have you ever watched a movie and you waited for the reveal?
I have no problem saying
sucked?
All bodies are beautiful. Female bodies are beautiful, all of them. Where it's like, yeah, even if you reveal them, totally. I'm not saying I would sleep with every single female body. But there's totally beauty there.
Wait, this is no self-report. Are you saying that male bodies are not as beautiful as female bodies?
Oh yeah,
I can say as someone.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Who is at least is secure in their skin and is proud of my body. Like I would probably say the female body or generally
why
whatever
the fuck?
Feminine figures are more work of art than masculine ones.
Do you have any like logical ability to explain that except for the fact that you're heterosexual?
No,
like
I have
any at all.
No, I have no, absolutely not.
Internalized
misandry. Yeah, we're socialized to think that women's bodies are better. That's why. Yeah. There you go. Done.
I think. Well, I guess the question that I would ask is like. Traditionally, are there more like paintings of women or men historically? I don't actually know the answer to that, but I think in terms of like,
gee, I wonder why, Corey. I wonder
yeah,
why.
No, there's totally historical and cultural and social reasons as to why that is. You are right. The heterosexual aspect is clouding my judgment, for sure. But
it's not.
Whatever. I have no problem enforcing my values in this context.
Even most women would also agree if they had the choice to look at a naked woman's body versus a naked man, even most heterosexual women would still choose to look at a naked woman.
Yeah, I actually met, like, there's somebody that the first time ever, there was a woman who recently said that she would rather look at naked men than naked women. But I that's like the one woman I've ever heard who has ever said that. Most women I know say that, yeah, like women's bodies are much more attractive than men's.
But it's also possible that they feel that way because women's bodies are less threatening and less enforcing of sexuality of women. So like when you see a naked man, usually there's the expectation that they're either looking or are interested in sex. Well, for girls looking at other women who are naked, that could be pretty neutral. If you're heterosexual, women take off the same way that a locker room for dudes, there's a locker room for girls. And guys have some guys have a lot more internalized homophobia than some women do.
I think more than some.
So,
I'll fight that
I'm
point.
being very gentle. Being very gentle here. So I don't think that's necessarily about the beauty of it. I just think that like a woman's body is less threatening for both men and women, which makes it. But that's not a beauty aspect.
Actually, I don't know the numbers, or I can't remember them off, but I think generally speaking, if you're just looking at openness to, more sexual experiences, just like looking at bisexual, I think on average, women are generally more towards, there's greater proportion of women who are bisexual.
Yeah, so the question is, do women feel more comfortable looking at other women naked, or
are they actually
find it attractive or stimulating?
That is totally a fair point that I don't have the answer to that. I'm just going to assume that if they're willing to engage,
you will.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're willing to engage sexually, they're more open to engaging sexually with a woman. I have to assume that there is some level of attraction, and they're not like forcing it. Just as like I can. There are some male, like I have no problem saying there are some male bodies and figures that I can appreciate the aesthetic, but they like I can't imagine being sexually attracted to them.
Yeah,
That's
and I
much of
think
a-
that's the experience for most women. They can appreciate the aesthetic, which leads to your point that there's something more aesthetically pleasing in women's bodies. But again, I'd argue that has more to do with socialization than any like objective measure of
I would agree
beauty,
with
if
you,
that's
actually.
even a thing.
Also, I
Um,
realized I was muted for like the last like 5 minutes.
Yes.
So I want to add like a few things. Like firstly, like as like a bisexual, like I would say I think there's sort of a difference in terms of how sexual appeal is expressed, both by in terms of like straight men and straight women, but also in terms of like essentially when you have like sort of the male gaze and you have like locker room talk, I guess with guys, you would have sort of a discussion about just it's like appearance. It's very much about that body. It's about how someone maintains their body. It's about sort of again it's rooted down to what you can see. It's one sense. I think in discussions, particularly like after like a woman's had sex and after sort of there's any kind of discussion with their friends, it's oftentimes more about the actual experience, about technique, about anything like that, about any kind of disappointment. And it's very much about sort of, I think there's very much a difference between something, the surface level view, oftentimes used towards women's bodies. And for men, I think I don't think there are like again, I'm bisexual. I don't find dicks attractive per se. It's more a matter of I have sexual attraction towards pretty much any gender. I use bisexual because I just think more people know the term and they don't think I'm attracted to cookware. But moreover, like really, I think there is.
Yeah, and I'm
all these
heterosexual when I
things-
don't find penises sexually attractive, right? So it's a thing. But just to expand on what you said, and this kind of what I meant with how I don't think female bodies are actually more beautiful than male bodies. I think a lot has to do with socialization. This is supposed to be a meme panel, but just go on a feminist rant for a second. Like, I think that the locker room talk is a really good example to how, like, even when men discuss their sexual experiences, a lot of it have to do with how she looked, how she sounded, how she was doing, how hot she is, how whatever she is. And when women talk about it, a lot of the time they'll also talk about themselves as the object. They'll be like, this is what I was wearing, this is what I did, this is how I got him there. So both the men and the women are focusing on the woman as like the sexual object in that interaction. So the focus of both men and women is on the attractiveness and the beauty of the woman body in that of the female body in that experience, which is why I don't think that male bodies, I don't think it's that dicks are ugly or any and that boobs are beautiful. I think pussies are just as ugly as dicks. I think that
Let's not speak blasphemy on this panel. Come on now.
I don't think it's blasphemy. Honestly, if you looked at the inside of a vagina, it looks way worse than a penis ever does. Like, it looks like
What if you look inside the
jaws.
penis? Then it's a different story.
I like doing that, by the way, but men don't let me do that a lot. So there's that.
Even though this point, like I'm working against my own point of like, so you're bringing up the social aspect, and yeah, this is a meme panel, but going back to like the bisexuality and all that stuff, where yeah, it may not be an actual issue, may not be driven by sexual attraction. There's also potential the issue of like, I think if you compare rates of let's say lesbian couples, rates of orgasm of lesbian couples just tend to be higher. So women might just be better in terms of sexual technique, and thus women will be more open to a sexual experience with a woman since they know that they're probably going to get more pleasure from that as well, as opposed to with like a man.
Okay.
So I just kind of defeated my own point, but still.
Sarah, are you muted again? I think you might be.
Egg on my face. To bring in sort of like the linguistic sociological approach here, I think there's like a statement like regarding this. I don't remember the name of the feminist that described this, but essentially sex between heterosexual people, and honestly, as like a general thing, is often seen as subject, verb, object. That being the subject often being the man, the verb of course being sex, and the object being the woman. And that essentially there's this idea that the man is necessarily that protagonist in any kind of sexual event. And if you look at a story, is like you'll have whenever there's essentially any kind of protagonist figure, your focus is not necessarily on the aesthetics of that figure, but rather on their action. And I think it expresses itself the same way in sex. And this also has implications towards same-sex relationships and really any kind of deviance from heterosexuality. But that, again, this is a meme panel, and we are way too serious for this.
That's a really interesting perspective. I never thought about it. Like how in a book you might describe how the protagonist looks, but generally speaking, the vast majority of the book is what the protagonist is doing, what they're thinking, what they want, and they will describe other people to the audience, but we're not as occupied with the looks and like with how other people are perceiving the protagonist. It's about how the protagonist is like conceptualizing the world around them a lot of the time. And that's really interesting.
That even applies itself further onto like how men and women typically sort of express their gender in like a more like in like sort of an active manner, whether it be with things like makeup or anything along those lines. And I'm not an expert on fashion, I never will be, unfortunately. Or with men, you have like things like bodybuilding. What's the difference? The difference oftentimes has something to do with like, now it's the myth, of course, that women like have makeup only to look better for a specific group, but it still is very much related to appearance. It is very much related to sort of, even if not necessarily intended as such, objectification. And for men, there's this idea of bodybuilding. What does it mean? It means you're able to lift. It means you're able to do this action. The idea that to be a man is to train. And again, essentially all of these more typical heterosexual, cisgender and heterosexual gender roles can be boiled down to subject, verb, object being brought as a narrative towards the entirety of things. But like, really need to. Yeah.
That's also a thing that like I've recently talked to my chat about like dude streamers that do like gaming, which is about like a skill, a function, and they're not looked down upon as like booby streamers the same way, even though both of them are supposedly skills or like things that you're utilizing. But the male streamer that is doing gaming, that's like a skill, it's something that they're doing, and the booby streamer is being looked down upon because she's using something of her body, like an appearance or some attractive quality about her, and it's like there's no effort to it, there's no skill, you're just using what you have, versus a guy usually has actions that rewards them, and women get rewarded for being women, for looking a certain way. Like the rewards for women are a lot higher the prettier they are. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. We can move on to the next topic. I think that it's very clear that you're all just like mega brain heterosexual.
Well, I can't actually debate that, but I still want to sort of like nail down Tom, like for lack of a better term, where so to clarify, because like the prompt is, sex, fully nude versus with clothes, lingerie. And like during the actual sexual act, it's not just like the lead up foreplay that you're like clothing lingerie, as Katie said, you're engaging in penetration. You want clothing, like you want your partner in a skirt, and you're engaging in a skirt.
I mean, occasionally that's fine, but I wouldn't do that regularly. Like, it's good,
Why not though? Like, what's the issue with just moving the underwear? What
if it's like a full like nightgown or something like that? Like.
It's not like,
what is wrong with you, lazy fucks?
Actually, so you're pretty much. I think you're making my point of like, remove more clothing, and then it's like,
not remove it.
You're not
it's
removing
move it aside.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, it's just an impediment. You're just like,
it's an impediment. It's an adventure. What the heck? Okay,
but we just talked about. We just talked about.
I'm now on the side of
guys like to see the visual, so we want to be able to see the woman's body naked. Well, the woman's just concerned with us performing. Like, we want to see her naked. Like, that's a large part of the sex.
I don't think that's true, because when we're talking about the visuals, also seeing the girl like in a skirt, or when you lift up the gown or whatever, it's still like visually stimulating. But again, it engages your imagination while also giving you sexual stimuli. Like, there's a reason a lot of porn engages with lingerie.
Yeah,
but the reason the lingerie and the skirt is there is because it gives you the hint to imagine seeing the full thing.
Well, it's not just that. Like, actually having clothes on gives you more to engage with. So, like, different types of clothes gives you different aesthetics to engage with each time, different ways of looking at them, different ways for them to look sexy, different things to show, different things to not show, and especially like we're talking about like clothes on, things like this. It's like a generally like a sporadic thing.
There's more
sometimes in
variety, like,
public,
I
or like
understand.
where other people are around, where it's like it's a way of doing it in a way that is almost like a taboo, like you're not supposed to be doing it this way, or like you're still ready to like go out into the world while also having sex. Like there's a lot of other aspects
Yeah.
to it than just
I
like
think the
hiding
thing we
what's there.
didn't. I think the thing we didn't really narrow down on is like what is the epitome of like what is the best form, like as an insulated incident, because a lot of couples that are together for a really long time, they do the nudity thing because it's very easy and it's obvious, and when you want to spice it up, you put on a suit or you put on an outfit, you play, because it adds like an extra oomph. So for me, like, well, if you use this element to add an oomph, like what Coco said, that like, sure, not every time, but once in a while. Well, it's once in a while because it has an extra quality to it that makes it objectively better.
Well, no. So
it makes it different.
I wanna-
It makes it different.
Yeah, I
I
also
don't
wanna
even think
clarify.
that's true. I was
Objectively
gonna say, I think that it's more comfortable to have sex with clothes off. I think that, like, especially you're getting hot,
don't-
you're getting sweaty,
don't
you're
wait-
exerting
Sure,
yourself.
sure.
There's a lot more going on, and I think it's a lot more comfortable to have sex with
No, what?
clothes
If you're
off.
talking
But
about
that doesn't mean that it makes it better.
If you're talking about sweaty, like, you're just gonna get drenched. You're gonna have your clothing drenched in sweat, and that's part of the
no,
fun.
that's
Like,
what I'm saying.
sweaty
Wait, that's
bodies
what
is
I'm
part
saying.
of the fun.
Well, those.
Are y'all
those-
really afraid of dirt and grime during sex?
Yeah, I'm
No,
Okay.
no. That's not. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. Is that's
Get
why
him!
you would have
Get him!
clothes off. You would
I'll
have your
try.
clothes off because you're going to get hot, because you're going to get sweaty. It's harder to have sex with clothes on. But there's elements of having clothes on that makes it better. And so there's going to be some elements that make it worse, and that's going to make it more comfortable to be completely naked while you're having sex. But there's also a lot of elements that's going to make it better as well.
and
All
I,
I'm really hearing is cisgender heterosexual men complaining about mild inconveniences during sex.
hey,
That's what I said.
That's
Oh
not
my
me.
God.
That's
No,
not
no.
me. I'm
I think-
I'm the full
Uh-huh.
nude. But I also need to
Okay.
again, Tom. Does clothing also would for your
Corey,
partner?
we're moving on.
Fine. No, one last thing. Do you prefer your partner masked or unmasked? Do you prefer to see the face or no face?
During sex?
Yeah, I would prefer to see the face generally.
Okay, so clothed body. Just got it.
That's not the
Yeah.
same thing.
It's not the same.
Wait,
I mean,
I want to answer that too. I prefer them to like look away. So I would take the naked body and like the mask on the face rather than the other way around. Just for like easy access and like no eye contact.
Just give me the important parts. I want everything else gone.
No, it's not about looking at the important parts. It's like the naked body is because it's easier to handle. And then like don't look at me while we have sex. That's weird. So like keep your face away from me. You know? Easy.
No, straight
Weird
eye
for you.
contact the entire time.
Straight no. Fuck that. No. No.
I'll look away as long as the boobs are free for me, like
No,
my face.
The boobs are never free. The boobs should never be free during sex. It's very uncomfortable. Well, that's not true. It's uncomfortable if you're on top.
Wait,
Which-
are
think it
you
largely
okay?
depends
Are
on
you
the
okay with
boob.
like a sheer bra? Because they're totally sheer. Like you have the support.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Soda or pop?
Oh, I'll let you guide it.
Tom?
Neither. It's Coke.
Coke is a
Corey?
brand.
It's all Coke.
Soda for like. So I'm from Quebec, and like soda, like it's a known thing. We already have this argument here locally. It's soda.
Corey, I live in Quebec and I use pop.
Then you should move to Ontario.
No,
Yeah.
the healthcare here is so much better. Also, I'm wearing a mask now. Am I more attractive to you?
No, I
Because you said
prefer. I
like I agree with masks, but I mean like masks during sex. Like,
Yeah, true. Like
what do you
that's.
think?
Wait.
We're not going back to that
That's the
topic.
thing.
All right.
I appreciate and respect following public health measures and taking care of your health, but during sex, I want mask off.
All right.
Hey. Hello.
This isn't even the strangest panel I've been on.
Well, fuck you then. I'm trying. Like, Jesus.
Try harder.
I'm doing my best here. Okay.
All
right. Coco, you didn't say soda or pop, did you?
I it's not even a question. It's soda. Like pop it's not shouldn't be associated with any type of drink. Like it's just borderline.
Hi, Gloom.
The R word.
Can you hear
Hi.
us? Hi.
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Awesome.
You came right in. Pronouns?
She, her.
Okay, cool.
Robert, I
we-
generally use they, them. It's fine.
Okay. Good to know. Anyone else pronouns?
Anything,
than
anything
what-
you want.
Okay. You came right into the next topic. Soda or pop? What do you say?
It's soda, obviously.
Okay, so I guess we're all going at
Oh, I
Tom.
said Bob. I am the lone defender here, the conscientious objector to
Actually-
the Americanization of our language surrounding carbonized
Actually-
beverages.
The problem is that I agree with Tom, and it's Coke. So
You are
It's
Well,
incorrect.
yeah,
These are-
obviously,
just so you guys all know, these are all of the topics are things that I talked about last week on my show, and Katie was listening and now is trying to vet me harder to understand what it is that I like
What?
more.
Are
that
you
she can
serious?
copy
is this basically
all
just
of
like a
this
dating
stuff.
show? Like
This-
this?
Yes, this is all. She invited all of you guys on to make it less awkward, to pretend like it's not just about finding out.
Or like
about my
third
stuff
wheeling,
more, so,
basically.
yeah.
I'm
Okay,
pretty
okay.
insulted now.
you guys,
Yep.
don't fall to this propaganda. Last night, I DM'd Tom during his conversation, and I propositioned him, which was the third time that I propositioned him in DMs in the past, 2 weeks, okay? I don't need you guys to third wheel for me. I've made my moves. So
It sounds like you need a wingman.
no,
Or
he
woman.
just doesn't want me.
It's just a whole lot of harassment. It's horrible, and I've been crying every night, and I can't.
I don't know. It seems like it might be a kink, Tom, if you're voluntarily coming on this panel, right? You have the right to refuse.
True.
Are you asking for it, Tom?
I'm asking
Where are the
for
men's
it.
rights activists while this happens?
Yes.
Horrible abuse.
Okay, so Coke,
Okay.
soda, pop.
It's
So-
Yes.
So yeah. So it originally started as pop, then eventually they wanted to get away from the pop sort of branding because there were issues with it, and so everybody started calling it soda. But then Coke became the major brand. They had cocaine in their drink. Everybody was addicted to it. Everybody drank it. And so Coke, just like Kleenex, just like any other major brand where everybody starts calling all of the other things, whatever the major brand is, that's what Coke became. All of you guys are just stuck in the past and have not elevated to the point where you are living in modern times where the rest of us are calling it Coke. You're all still calling it the old words, whereas Coke, especially here in the South, where
But
we
how
have
do
the
you
Coca-Cola
get Pepsi
factory
or
and
Fanta or Sprite when you call it Coke? Like if you
They're
go
all
to a
still Coke.
restaurant and you say Coke,
Coca-Cola.
they'll give you Coke.
Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola, but Coke is all soda.
No, that's what
You
They're
had
all
to say
carbonated
soda
drinks.
just to refer to it.
Well, no, it's all carbonated
lying.
drinks. So in the South, this is literally this is literally how it is. All carbonated drinks are Coke, and then you have to say Coca-Cola if you want Coca-Cola.
Well, that's just a testament to the backwardness of the South, but the argument still stands
Yeah,
that soda is
It's just you guys. It's a testament to you guys
No,
being stuck in
the
past.
strongest
Like,
argument.
Tom, are you saying that when you need a tissue, you say, "Can you hand me a Kleenex"? You
Yes.
actually say that?
Yes.
And
And it seems as though that's most people. There's tons of articles and studies
Where?
out there talking about this. I mean, you can look it up. I don't know what to tell you.
And you said all carbonated, not that I'm under the delusion that
The silent majority.
the South is as sophisticated as this, but are you saying if you wanted to order Perrier in the South, you'd say Coke? Give me a Coke and you just hope and pray for Perrier?
I don't know what Perrier is.
That
What
doesn't
is
surprise
Perrier?
me, but that, I think, my point's
What is
my-
Perrier?
Perrier is literally just carbonated water. That's it.
No, it's normally going to be
It's club
Like-
soda, essentially.
soda
think-
water.
I don't know. Because I've never drank club soda, so I have no clue what people.
Oh,
call
exactly.
that
Yeah,
stuff,
so
but
I think you're stuck in the past. You got to get with the times. The Perrier, the San Pellegrinos, that's where it's at.
Yeah,
Uh,
my chat says good luck printing Coke on soda that isn't Coca-Cola, Tom.
well, no, I mean even like I drink Pepsi, but Pepsi is still Coke.
Yikes.
Like it's all Coke, all
Pepsi is worse than Coke. It gets
Pepsi-
all like
bad as it gets warmer.
flavored carbonated drinks.
Wait,
It's
well-
all Coke.
Well, this is just like, this is ridiculous. Okay, like what do you do when you actually want cocaine as well? Like, you also like a Coke? So Coke encompasses all soda, all carbonated beverages. It encompasses Coke, Coca-Cola, and then actual cocaine. Like pretty much.
Corey,
any
when people want cocaine, they don't say, "Hey, give me some Coke." They have like other names for it. You've never bought cocaine, have you?
Well, you
No,
have to
you're-
have
no,
like an
I haven't.
exact size.
You're
You have
correct.
to say like, I
Someone
want an
offered
8-ball or a teenth or something like that. You don't just say, "Hey, give me some Coke," and they're just like, "Here you go," and you just hand them some money like in the movies. It's like, no, you got to get like sizes. Negotiate.
Someone offered me
prices.
cocaine once. I was walking down the street and they just like talked to me and said, "Do you want to buy some cocaine?" And then I said no and left.
No, give me a
And
Coke.
then-
Yeah,
Yeah,
plus we
yeah.
don't actually. Plus, when you actually get Coke, you don't call it Coke. You call it girl, generally. So it's
What?
yeah. So like if you do heroin, you call it boy. If you get
What?
Coke, it's called girl.
What if
You guys
she's
have-
wearing
you guys are
lingerie?
drug
Is that
addicts. Sorry,
crack?
I-
Like, what's happening then?
What if it's black tar heroin? What is that?
It's still boy.
Black tar boy?
Yeah.
No, it's,
Black tar is like insanely rare, but sure.
I think this is a Tom L this time. Like
Yeah.
Well,
before
Wait,
Tom
whoa,
won.
whoa. Hold on. I'm the heroin addict here, okay? I am the one who is going to know all of these.
No,
things.
you're-
I mean
no,
with
no,
the
no.
Coke,
Everybody
not
No,
with the
Tom.
heroin.
well, let's be clear. You're the boy addict, right? That's what you really mean.
Oh.
Yes, well, the confusion was over the terms for Coke. I've never heard anybody outside of like, adults talking about how bad drugs are call it Coke. Everybody calls it girl.
Okay.
Yes, I meant L in terms of saying all soda or pop is Coke. But now we can go after Zerno because he thinks you say pop. So Loom, if you want to take that apart, Gloomy. Or anyone else really.
I'll take like this is my strongest argument of pretty much not using the word pop. It's soda. So it goes back to NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys. NSYNC released Pop, bad song. Backstreet Boys much better. No pop for me.
Ah, interesting. My argument is that I only drink Coca-Cola, so it's Coke for me.
Well, yeah, I think you have like practically Coke circulating throughout your body at this point, replacing your blood.
And most of us are 70% water. You are 70% Coke.
I'm 70% girl. Boom!
What is a girl?
That's still not good. that's,
Corey.
that's still not.
Okay. So, do any of you smoke?
Weed, yes. Cigarettes, no. No tobacco.
No.
Okay, then I'm gonna skip the next question and we'll go straight to the main event. Because we don't want to hear Tom talk about prison again. So,
I didn't say anything about prison.
I can see where we're going. Okay, so the main event is our books reading. So everyone are going to say yes or no, and then we're
Tell
gonna
me you
open-
didn't copy this from me. Tell me you did not get
I
this from
have
myself.
no idea what you're talking about.
No way. There's no way. President Sunday's been like going off on Twitter about the fact that I listen to books on audiobook and other people are like
Wasn't
getting pissed
that
off
like
about
forever ago?
No.
Yeah, it was
Last
a long
week.
time ago.
This is all I said. This is all last week. All of this stuff was last week.
Tom, I think since you think that Coke, like saying soda or pop is a remnant of the past, you obviously don't have the best like grasp of time. So, okay, Tom, yes or no? Is audiobooks reading?
Yes.
Tom, Corey?
No.
Bloom?
Yes.
Okay. Zerno?
Definitely. And you can call me Zero.
0. Okay. Coco?
No, they aren't. But I wouldn't fault the person if they had listened to an entire audiobook and then they said, I read the book in like the colloquial sense.
Yeah. For me, audiobooks is not reading. So,
Why?
yeah. Okay, why? Because reading is a verb that describes a function, which you don't do when you listen to audiobooks. So you're not doing the function of reading. It does not mean that you're not hearing the book or consuming the book or engaging with the book. It's not reading. Just because it's called an audio book doesn't mean that you're reading it. It's
Words
very...
do not have static meanings. They change. Words don't have static meanings. They change.
How has the
Yeah,
word
this is
read
the
changed?
female means or woman means adult human female argument right here.
This is not
This is a-
Tom.
this is-
Don't
I wouldn't
you
go that far.
fucking
This is what you're
Tom.
doing.
No, it's not.
Yep.
You people are insane, okay? Reading and listening is not the same as like us growing to understand the definition of woman, okay? Like these are two separate functions. It has nothing to do with the trans discourse, and it's like you stop that immediately.
Well,
Yeah,
so
so
nobody
this
would
is like-
say I listened to a book or something like that. Generally, when I go through a book, I'll listen to it on audiobook, but I also stop and like copy and paste stuff from the actual text, so I get both of them on my phone or on my tablet or whatever it is that I'm listening to it on. Then I'll also have periods where I do just read through it. I'm going to be reading and listening to it both. But I'm never going to say, like, when somebody's like, oh, what books have you read in the last month? And I would be like, oh, I haven't read any, sorry. Well, no, I listened to like 5 or 6 on audiobook. Like, it's
Yeah,
the
you
same
listen
thing.
to
I'm
them,
going
but you
to answer the
didn't
same way,
actually
one way or
read
the other.
them.
Yes, the question that they're asking for is still the freaking
No,
same.
no, it's
when I
not. No,
answer.
it's called Reading Rainbow. Not everyone's gonna get that reference. Not audiobook Rainbow.
No,
And
but Corey, that's not fair, because they're not asking because they're trying to figure out your reading comprehension or how skilled you are at reading. They're asking because they're asking what type of book
They wanna
did
know
you
what books have
consume?
you
What
gone
did
through,
you
yes.
internalize in your head?
yeah, sure.
Can I ask a
Also-
question?
Yeah.
The books I've consumed, I've watched Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 1. So I've read the Harry Potter books.
No,
That's
wait,
it.
but no.
Wait,
But the
wait,
audiobook is the same. No, hold on, wait. The audiobook is the same as the actual book. They are the same thing. And so if somebody asks me, hey, have you read Gender Trouble? And I say, oh, no, sorry, but I've listened to it on audiobook, they're going to be like, yeah, the same thing, dude. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, can I add a point on view on this? Essentially, reading as we know it before sort of the internet had to be constrained to books. You're not going to, like on the radio, for example, you're going to listen to music. The thing about personal devices and having applications and things like that is, firstly, you have this access to such a wide range of information. And through archives, through things like Audible, things like that. I'm not a fan of Amazon, but there are other options. And that means you have such much larger access to information. Now, if we decide to, for some weird reason, gatekeep reading towards paper, then what we've done essentially is shame people who are trying to actually fix up their attention span. Like,
no one's gatekeeping it to paper.
it is gatekeeping.
I don't think we're gatekeeping it to paper. I have something to say, but I also want to let Gloom ask their questions. So
Okay. Question. I didn't realize we were doing blood sports, but
we are. It's a main thing. So.
my question is, if you're somebody who like reads in your day-to-day life in the sense that you look at text on a screen or you read signs on the street, like you read the stop sign, and someone asks you, but you don't read books at all, and someone asks you, do you read? How would you respond?
That's a good question.
I think what we're missing here is the understanding of things like reading comprehension and analytical skills. And like when you're watching, there's a very much a different thing between watching a movie and reading a book. And audiobooks, as you mentioned, like there's not going to be, you don't have an audiobook adaptation of something because you're not fundamentally changing the medium. What you're changing is how you access the medium.
I think what's more Well, Corey, I'll let you respond, but I think I have the best challenging position for you
Yeah.
and Coco, and for
Um,
myself. So.
My sort of question would be, I guess mostly directed at the ones who consider directed at those who consider audiobooks reading. Like, so, basically, if you can listen, and you can understand words and you can speak, but you literally cannot read, do you consider this person illiterate?
I
Yes,
would
they
say
are.
yes. If they can't read, they're still illiterate. Yeah.
But-
No.
this
Are
is-
are they literate? Not illiterate, as in like they
Oh,
can
But
literate.
this is the frustrating
No,
thing.
they're-
So
they're
we're
not literate.
conflating. Because,
Yeah.
okay, I see what it is. There's reading as in the ability to read and comprehend language. And there's the using the verb of reading as consuming the knowledge of a book. So
Right.
and people who answer the question a certain way mean the actual act of reading, like what I said.
Mhm.
And usually I feel like how that question is asked when somebody asks you what book have you read lately, they're not checking that if you're illiterate or not. If they're asking
Right.
you what book you read lately, they're assuming you're literate.
Right. So the
also-
question.
Yeah, shut up.
Go ahead.
Also, someone in my chat said a really good point, which kind of changed my perspective. Is Braille not reading?
Yeah, I would say it's not.
Yes,
not
it is.
Yeah, I
reading.
would say Braille is reading. So I like
I
we
agree.
are talking about two different things. So is it like reading in the literal sense that you actually read words on a page? No. But if somebody says, "Did you read this book?" Yes, audiobook is going to count as reading that book. And so in a colloquial sense, as somebody said at the beginning, in a colloquial sense, yes, of course, like this is the way that we would communicate reading. In the same way, if I listen to a book on audiobook, I will just say, "Yeah, I read this book last week," or something like that, and it'll communicate the same thing as if I just read it on text.
Yeah, I don't think this is gatekeeping on paper. I think this is like intellectual gatekeeping of like glorifying the concept of reading and literacy as somehow more valuable or more prestigious than consuming the knowledge through listening. So I think that's where the gatekeeping is
I mean,
happening.
reading is probably generally going to be better, and you can have like a higher comprehension through it. I have severe ADHD, and so I might still get a lot through reading something in text, but I will eventually stop actually comprehending what it is that I'm reading, and I might go like 20, 30 minutes just reading something and not have any clue that I'm not comprehending anything that I'm reading. But when I'm listening through audiobook, I do like notice immediately when I'm kind of not paying attention. I got to rewind real quick and play it again. I take notes. I put bookmarks on. Like, it's all very similar to the way that I would read a book anyways. I just get through it a lot faster.
Most
Yeah, I
people
think this is
have.
just-
Oh yeah, sorry. Go.
Yeah, I think this is just like a limitation of our language. Because, like, when someone asks, "Have you read the book?" they're not. We're working from the assumption that traditionally the only way to consume the book was to read it. So to ask, "Have you read the book?" is asking, "Have you consumed the book?" So when they ask, "Have you read the book?" they're not actually asking, "Have you read it?" They just want to know if you consume the knowledge. So I don't think that changes the definition of what the word reading means. I just think we don't have another word, or we don't want to say the phrase, "Have you consumed this book?" So we
But-
just use reading.
But I disagree with that because I don't think that you would have said that Braille isn't reading until now.
Well, I don't consider Braille reading, but I guess another question that I would ask
Have
sort
you
of,
never, or now after this conversation, when we're using a very pedantic understanding of reading, it doesn't fit into that criteria?
yeah, now
We
that
have generally learned that Braille is reading.
yeah, no,
You
I'm
read
this
Braille.
is me being pedantic. I will fully admit. So, this was sort of like, I guess, in that vein of like, so, Tom, or who you say you consume audiobooks. So if let's say there's something that's released and it's exclusively only on audiobook, there's no text-based version, is the person who made that content, do you consider them a writer?
Absolutely. You still need to actually, even a script writer is a writer. Even if you're not reading the script when you're watching a movie, that person who wrote the script is still a writer. And also, another
No, no.
aspect I want to bring in is Stephen Hawking. So Stephen Hawking was not able to speak. And and because of ALS, and he essentially reached the point in his life where he had to blink to be able to wink to be able to basically write down words and to speak them, and he went to speaking events. Now, I think what we're talking about here is the direct action and the function of that action, and which we are speaking of when we're talking about audiobooks. Our audiobooks reading, I think, is a bit of a deceptive way of phrasing this, because I think what we've been asking, or rather what we've been answering, the question we've been answering is, are people who are reading audiobooks really reading? And I think in the sense that you cannot go to a speaking engagement and speak to people without being able to speak, even if you are not able to speak due to even something like ALS, or even if someone is illiterate, that does not necessarily make them incapable of reading comprehension.
Well, it's similar if I have a bunch of text back and forth with somebody, I'll say, I talked to this person.
No, but that's not the same.
That is very different.
No,
it's not, because we're talking about functionality versus like a literal definition of something. And functionally, yes,
but we
haven't
defined what reading even is. Like, because I think we are mostly saying, well, you're not using your eyes. I have a definition
given to one of my chatters.
Shut up! No, let me finish. No, shut up, Tom. Because I think we're all working off the sense of like, oh, you're using your eyes to consume letters, but it's like, you're not reading a painting when you look at a painting. Like, we're talking about processing like letters and like shapes into like a linguistic form through your visual medium. What's your definition, Corey?
The one that I was given, the visual comprehension of symbols.
So if I can comprehend a swastika, I'm reading the swastika.
Yeah, of course.
Hypothetically, yeah. I think that tracks.
Come on.
Well, I mean,
that is reading.
I do appreciate that the first example of a symbol that comes to your mind is a swastika, though. I think that is.
Corey,
I don't agree
Corey,
with that
this was your worst
example, but
take. This is your Corey. You do not need to be so pedantic and so like. The thing about it is that definitions serve us. Like, I'm coming from a linguistic perspective here, from sort of philosophy here, is that we created these definitions. We defined reading throughout all of human history as purely being related to sight. Then Braille came around, and in fact, when Braille came around, people were having to ask this question. They answered it saying that it is reading, because it serves the same function, because you're not dealing with a completely separate medium. No one creates the audiobook adaptation and makes a different plot. Now, if you've ever read, for example, Percy Jackson, and then you've seen the movies, you know the movies are complete dog shit, but the books were pretty good. And if you ask someone whether they've seen or whether they've seen the book or read the book, whether it be the audiobook or not, that's far more important. If they read, it doesn't matter the difference between the audiobook and the book. What matters is the difference in the actual function of an audiobook versus a movie. And I think we're equating audiobooks with movies, not in the direct sense, but rather in the exclusion of reading in a way that is not really useful. Language needs to be useful. That is why it changes with technology and changes with ideology and changes with sort of shifts in our culture. We have decided that essentially that people who are blind cannot read, when in reality what they cannot do is see.
Yeah, we're talking about pragmatic communication. And when we're talking about pragmatic communication, what it is that's actually being communicated in the moment is what matters. And so if somebody says, did you read this? Saying yes, what matters is that you actually know what is in the book. You understand the contents within the book. And so when they say, did you read this? Obviously, that's what they're asking. Now, the more popular audiobooks become, we'll probably end up with more language to actually say, like, did you consume the contents of this book? Even though it's not even a book anymore, because when we think of a book, we think of an actual thing that's in your hand. And so to say it's not a book anymore just because it's a digital book now is kind of the same sort of pedanticism when we're saying that's not reading if you just listen to it.
I need to say something. I just realized that I was completely wrong, and this is exactly like what is a woman and the definition of a woman thing. I was 100% wrong. I apologize, and I'm glad that I can see that now. So there.
I'm totally a huge conservative when it comes to the definition of reading. Huge radical right wing.
Dude, I feel.
I'm the Matt Walsh of reading, for sure.
We all need to collectively send our Twitter followers after him.
Yeah, I think what's missing.
What is a reading?
With the Braille and the like reading example versus the listening is some sort of active action to consume the material. If that's the best way I can like put it. Like so, someone who's
creating a
reading
third
Braille,
gender, but for reading.
someone who's like reading Braille, someone who's like reading the words versus someone who's listening. I just don't like if someone said, "Hey, read the stop sign," and then someone next was standing next to the stop sign and said, "Stop." Oh, I
Do
just
you read
the
a stop sign or do you see a stop sign? Is the really important question here. This is a very important question. Do you read a stop sign or do you see it?
You see it and you read the words on it.
No one says
I think if there was a
stop
stop sign, I think if there was a stop sign that had a different word on it, people would notice it.
That's because they need reading comprehension to do so.
But that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if I was standing looking at a stop sign and someone said read the stop sign and then someone standing next to the stop sign said stop, I wouldn't say I read the stop sign because someone spoke the words to me. Like I didn't read it. Like I didn't do that active action of reading it.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
someone
But that's
else-
what we're
But we
talking
already
about with
addressed that.
pragmatic communication. Like, nobody's asking if you actually read it in that sort of context. But if they're asking if you read a book with an audiobook, they are asking if you actually consume the content of that book. That is
Yeah.
the question that you're answering.
We've already discussed this. There are basically two ways of using the verb reading in this instance. And in some contexts and some situations, people will ask about reading as in, do you have reading comprehension? Are you literate? Did you use your visual format to consume these symbols? Although I disagree that you can read a swastika. That is not how that works.
How can you disagree
How
with
is it
that?
reading it, Tom?
Okay, tell me what is the difference between looking at a symbol and understanding meaning from it versus looking at a symbol and understanding meaning from it? Can you explain the difference between
Symbols
those?
are not-
I think a
symbols are
swastika
not
is like the
depth.
worst example to use. I think the better example would be like a square. Well, if I look at a square and see it's a square, did I read it?
Well, you can also like read people's facial expressions and such too. We use the word read just to like
Yeah,
describe
I guess
perceiving
when I'm
something
saying-
visually.
A square
When
doesn't
I'm
give you
saying that you
meaning,
can't
whereas
read
like
the
a symbol
swastika,
does.
What I meant is that when Corey brought his very pedantic definition, certain things qualify into that definition that we wouldn't colloquially say that that's reading. We usually wouldn't say that you're reading a symbol, like a symbol, like a square or like a rectangle. You wouldn't say I read that square. You
Yeah,
said
because they're not
there was a
communicating
square.
anything. There is no
Yes, I'm not
symbolism
arguing
with
with you. I'm
But there
arguing with
is
Corey.
With a swastika, though, with a swastika, there is something being communicated with that. There is information that is being communicated with this.
Why
It
does it
is
always
the-
come back to swastikas?
That was
we
Katie's
love
thing. That's why I
swastikas.
brought it up. Of like when I just mentioned the word symbols, and she went right to swastika. That's
base?
Yeah, of course,
Corey,
dude. I was
you don't
born
get to say
in
that. You're doing the
I mean,
essentialism
letters are
thing here.
symbols too.
I was born and raised in Israel. Okay, we talk about the Holocaust so much; it's not like healthy. Okay, like a funny story that I like telling is that my ex is German and he didn't know Hebrew at the time, and every time he would be with me or my family, he would be like, why do you guys bring up Hitler so much? Like, how do you guys end up having like conversations about Hitler? Every conversation I hear you have with your parents, and like that's just how things go here. You know, that's just how conversations go when you're from here. So yeah, that's a thing. So yeah, fuck you, Corey,
you get that a lot.
but not naked.
Oh,
Only with socks. Okay. I have nothing left to say. Oh. Okay. That's a good.
Was that a real helmet? That was really cool.
what was?
The like you had a whole whatever
Oh, yeah.
mask or yeah,
The
it's a
horse.
real- look real.
Oh, that's not a filter. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a. You could tell it wasn't a filter because it had glare on it. That was very cool.
Yeah, it looked really good. But I like I said, I'm firm in my
Define
position.
cool. Fine, cool. Good.
So if you asked me if I read The Second Sex and I had listened to it on audiobook, would you expect me to say no? I listened to it on audiobook.
I would. Well, would I expect you to clarify? I wouldn't necessarily expect you to clarify. Would I maybe ideally would want you to clarify? Yeah, just as it. If I
Yes,
ask, if
that
I
would be a better
why?
if
Why, Corey?
Yeah,
it's elitism.
Stop
It's
interrupting me,
elitism!
Katie. Stop interrupting me. No blood sports. So just like if I asked you the question, of like, yeah, can you read? And the literal answer is no, and that's why you consume audiobooks.
Yeah, but those are
then-
you're communicating different things based on different contexts. Like
What-
if you're at a doctor's
yeah.
office and they say, "Are you a woman?" They're asking something different than like a social context, right?
Okay, so what if I ask you the question?
No, I wouldn't
and
necessarily
so
agree
let's
with
say I
that.
just ask you, like, just getting to know each other, Tom, because this is our first meeting. If I ask you the question now, I want to know more about Tom. Are you a reader?
I would say yes.
Okay.
But would you ever ask someone, are you capable of reading? Do you ever ask someone, can you read? Are you literate? Has anyone here ever asked that question of someone?
But that's
But
because we
not in a
automatically
serious way.
assume that's because we automatically assume that everyone can. Because, like, we have
it's
a school
elitism.
education program.
It's
Well-
because there is a romanticization and an elitist notion that somehow reading in like the concept of reading as like reading a book is somehow a more meaningful way of engaging with the material. It's very romanticized. It's considered
disagree
very
with
like
this.
high class.
No.
I disagree
You
with
can't
this because
disagree
there
with
is,
this.
No, I do
it's
disagree
true.
with that because
You're wrong.
There is no. Hold on. When you say elitism, you are giving like a negative connotation to it that says that they are wrong when they do that. Whereas
No,
generally,
it's
I
a
think that there
natural
is.
product
I-
of how
hold on.
society was.
Hold on,
Only noble
hold
people
on,
read.
woman.
Only noble people had books.
but
it's-
But we're so
hold
far
on.
past
Well,
that.
wait, only noble people were
No,
taught to
hold on.
read and be
Chill.
literate.
It doesn't matter either way. There is it is a higher form of consumption to read something than to listen
Why?
to it on audiobook.
No.
Because the way that
No.
brains work, yes.
Wait,
No.
Tom,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
Tom, if you say
You
that,
can't just
then
say
you're
how
like doing some,
brains
like,
work as your
reverse
answer.
elitism.
No. There's studies on this that explain that, like, yes, listening to something on audiobook, you're going to get less from it than you would be reading it. You're
Not
able to
for
take notes.
everyone.
You're able to highlight things more easily. Like there's a lot more that goes into it. You can make up for
you
that
can
listening
say that
to
that's
audio.
true
What
for
about-
the
what about
majority of
studies?
My freaking goodness, woman! Stop interrupting.
No, you can say that's true for the majority of people. You can't say that's like generally true for everyone because
No, I
that's
can-
not true.
That is the same thing.
This is an appeal to
Saying
human
it's the
nature in a sense.
majority of people and saying generally is
Disgusting.
literally the same thing. Okay,
It's not actually. If you're going to apply the average to the entirety of people, it's sort of like an issue of utilitarianism, really. I think that's sort of what we're dealing with here, is that this assumption that I believe essentially that our definitions ought to serve everyone in a sense that is viable. Like the change in sort of how people have viewed reading due to things like the internet, it's something that language hasn't adapted to. And currently we have people like Corey, these ultra conservatives, who have decided essentially that we must keep this old language because it is like, I don't know, there's no objective truth to this idea of reading. There is, can you see? And can you see is the question that we really are dealing with here, much in the sense that someone like Stephen Hawking does not technically use his vocal cords to speak at these speaking events, but he has performed the function of speaking, of public speaking,
No,
which is
that's not what he's doing.
like, this is sort of an appeal to the basics while completely failing to recognize both the function and the advanced aspects
But
of a skill.
But it's
No,
not.
no,
But
no,
it's
no,
not
no.
even about.
No,
It's
because
not even
I'm
about like seeing,
goodness.
because Corey would have agreed that Braille is reading until this very like conversation that made him a conservative.
Okay,
I
so
don't
yeah,
know if
that's
it's this
not-
conversation. I think Corey's more. Okay, I'll vouch for Corey in one way here. Corey was always the ultra conservative around this kind of topic. Corey is like
No,
very
listen,
trained and
for-
probably
for
would have
the-
always held this position.
Hold
No,
on,
for
we're
the Stephen
switching topics a
Hawking
little bit,
example.
though.
For the Stephen Hawking example, if he had a speaking, engagement, and all he did was put the words on the screen, then I would say no, he didn't host a speaking engagement. But if he is like has his, translator thing,
TTS.
and it is still speaking to everyone. So yes, there was still a speaking engagement that happened. But that's different from him just putting the words on the screen.
No, there
and
was
then
a
saying,
listening.
I
There was
hosted
a
speaking
listening engagement happening because
No,
people
but
just listen.
something also spoke the words.
No, a computer did, which is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, the
words
were still
played
spoken.
the word.
The-
The
Not
computer
different.
played
Yeah.
the
The
word.
The
words
broader
were still
question is,
spoken.
can Stephen Hawking speak? Well, he's passed
Yes.
away, unfortunately, but who
Well, he
consider-
could. And he was good
No,
at
he
it.
couldn't. You said he couldn't speak when you were describing him.
No, I
You
said
said
he
he
couldn't
would-
use his vocal cords to speak.
Ah,
What?
The
That's the same
computer-
thing.
Coco, the computer doesn't speak. The computer uses
Guns don't shoot
play
people. People do.
sounds.
Wait,
The
so
computer doesn't have vocal cords, okay?
the computers
not the
literally
point.
have things called speakers on them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh my god! No!
Katie, Katie's brain is breaking, and Corey's brain has remained remarkably
Always
solid
broken.
and plastic and never changing.
it's
So
it's
speakers can't speak now. That's where we're at.
Speakers play sounds! Oh my god, of course!
They're
speakers
literally
You
the
are playing
word
sound
speak.
as a
The
speaker.
word speak is literally in their name. Like that literally describes what they do. The word they are a speaker. Like
wait,
He's
Isn't
trolling
speaking
you,
just the
right?
production of
This is a
speech, though?
troll.
Isn't that what?
Okay, everyone
speaking
here, I have a more important question. All of us, including viewers at home, including y'all on Twitch and on YouTube, I don't know which platform we're using right now, and also myself, like everything you guys are saying right now, I'm hearing through a speaker in my phone. Are you not speaking to me?
yes.
I mean, in a literal sense, like I am speaking, but so I have no problem being pedantic enough that I would say, like my words are being transcribed or translated to you, and you are not hearing me. You're hearing like the speaker.
What, Corey? Are you serious?
The difference is not in function. The difference is in pedantry, and this pedantry is going to impede actual utility. So I think that it needs to just be needed. I think that essentially you're not dealing with a distinction that actually matters. You're dealing with essentially this
Well,
this
no,
sort
no.
of
Like,
it's a dogma of language. really.
if we change the definition of reading, then society breaks down. This is like the collapse of the West.
No,
obviously.
that is
Wait,
no.
wait, wait, wait,
That
wait,
is
wait.
not. That is
No.
catastrophizing.
Blue wanted to say something. Shut up.
Oh, I was just saying, isn't speaking just the production of speech? And by that definition, I would argue that using a text to speech is 100% would meet that definition.
Coco?
Thank you.
What do you mean, thank you? You said he didn't speak. What do you
No,
mean, thank you?
No, I said he did speak. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
he said it was speakers. He's the one
Yeah.
who
No, but
said
that's the computer. You know what?
So,
You
a
know?
computer,
No,
a machine,
no,
a person.
This is fine.
Words were spoken. Where however you want to process it, yes, but that would be different.
Did he
that would be
speak?
that would be
Did he
different.
speak?
Did who speak?
Stephen Hawking.
He himself.
You're asking
didn't
two
speak.
questions.
No.
You're asking two questions here. You're asking one question: did he use his vocal cords to produce sound? And a second question: did he speak to people at an event? The first is false. The second is true.
No, that's not. That's not what I was saying was. You say if Stephen Hawking hosted a speaking event, if he hosted a speaking event, what actually happened there? And I said I would still consider it a speaking event if he used some sort of text-to-speech device, but I wouldn't consider it a speaking event if he just put the words on the screen. That's what I said.
So you made a separate hypothetical.
I'm on Katie's side here. That's a listening event.
Yes,
No.
yes, it's a listening event.
So is it, a TED Talk is also a listening event. Any kind of this. So everyone at home on Twitch right now is not. They are not. People are not speaking at this panel. The only action that is occurring is them listening. So we've negated the action and function we've been performing here.
No, that's about how much of the functionality of what's happening is engaging and listening versus speaking. So each of us is speaking, but generally the audience is listening, and the event is mostly dominated by the concept of listening, because I'm speaking right now and you're all listening to me. So both
Katie,
the
what are they
panel and
listening
the
to?
audiences are listening.
What are they listening to?
They're listening.
Six people
to
debate
us.
nonsense.
Huh?
Yeah.
listening to
No,
Katie's
they're
story.
in their home,
Shut up. Tom.
listening to the sound come through what?
A speaker.
A speaker. Thank you. Okay.
headphones.
Coco.
Glad we straightened that out.
Yes. Do you want me to ban you?
I kind of do, because I haven't had it like
That would be
fulfilled
interesting.
yet.
Good. Good. You know that the word ban has bat in it, and bat is the way that sheep speak.
Are these sheep naked with socks on, or do they have on
What?
lingerie?
Are sheep's naked?
Ooh.
Only when they're shaved.
When they get
I guess
shaved,
is a
yeah.
really is a
No,
very
they're naked
very
the
hairy
entire
person
time.
less? Okay, look, if a person is very very hairy for whatever reason, they've never shaved in their entire life, and they have those genes that make you very hairy, and then they decide to get a full body shave, and they were naked both times, have they become more naked?
Actually,
No.
the better question is, if we take sheep's wool off and put it on a naked human, do they stop becoming naked? And if we
Yes.
take a human's skin off and put it onto a sheep, would they stop being naked?
Yes,
No,
both-
no.
both
Here's the
clothing.
question. If you take a sheep who's naked and you shave that sheep off and use that own sheep's wool to then make a T-shirt and then put the shirt back on the sheep, is the sheep still naked?
Also, if
So
you take the
wear your
wool
own
of the
skin is
sheep
the
and
question now.
if you take the wool of the sheep and then you put it like just on someone's arm, are they clothed or are they still naked if you're not like covering any genitalia?
Yeah, so I have a follow-up question for Tom. Is a sufficiently hairy partner enough clothing for you to engage with sex with them?
Well, so that's why I'm saying you taking it from other things and putting it on other things, right? Taking it off of a sheep and
no,
putting it
Tom.
on a
So
human.
you
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it off of
No,
you
Tom,
and
Tom,
put it
you're
on your
No,
body.
no,
now.
like
You
And
said
then I said
the lure-
taking human skin off of a human and putting
No,
it onto
no,
a
we're
sheep
talking about the
would it
naked
stop
thing. You said the allure was not being able to see their completely naked body. So if it was sufficiently covered in hair, that's just still like you can't see the whole nipple, right? You can't see.
Oh
the
yeah,
stuff
I
you were
don't
talking
date
about.
feminists. They're freaking shaved the entire top
Wait,
bottom.
I love.
Well,
like,
wait,
I don't
no,
love
like you can
feminists,
combine
but
this
I
with like
love
your
like a feminist
with-
aesthetic.
yeah, you combine this with your mystery of like you have a sufficiently hairy partner, but like so like things are covered. You bring in some clippers and like there's like your little bit of like reveal of like the mystery
There you
over
go.
time, and
I
you have
have a
full
question.
control over it.
Since you're supposed to do like swapping and shit, is it possible that part of the play is like the girl potentially waxing the guy and then using the used like wax straps to cover herself because it has like the guy's hair on it and then she's covered?
Since we're bringing in like erotica, like erotic
Are we
stuff, I'm
talking
wondering-
about swinging?
back to this question, back to the audiobook question. So, is there such thing as an erotica movie, or are there only romance movies and pornography and such? But there can be an erotica audiobook and an erotica novel. Why
Or
is
it's
that?
pornography? If it's
Pornography is the
in-
broader terminology, but you'd have, of course, a porn film. But you'd have, and with an audiobook, it's still erotica. If you have an erotica
No.
novel brought onto audiobook,
The question would be, if you listen to an erotic novel, did you just watch porn?
no.
That would be the question.
No.
No, the function of the actual engagement is fundamentally different. You're not dealing with sort of, it's not a visual experience, but I think more importantly, there's like it's very different in terms of sort of just the surface level aspect. No, it's not entirely surface level porn, but it's very much about sort of the illusion. It's sort of illusionary. I don't know the proper term for this.
You're putting the same limitation on the word "watch" that you were complaining about putting on the word
No,
"read."
I'm not. I'm putting a limitation on the functions of video pornography versus erotica.
Wait, why can't
No,
why
I've heard
can't a reading medium be like reading porn? Why does it?
Oh,
need
it
to
is
be
reading.
erotic?
It is. Porn is the broader terminology. What I'm saying essentially is that the genre of erotica is limited to audiobooks and books.
Mhm.
Why?
So what
Well,
you're
I'm saying-
consuming is
I don't know
different.
why.
No,
What
but
you're
I've heard
consuming
plenty
is
of
different,
people.
but
I've heard plenty of people say that reading this whatever book, it was more descriptive, and I got a better picture of that than what I got from the movie. I've heard people say that about books all the time. So why wouldn't that apply to pornography also?
Yeah, I don't like the distinction between like erotica is only for like written medium or like listening. I think that's absolutely there's like porn for like hearing or porn for reading. Like I think
Oh, no,
that's a really dumb
there is
distinction.
no. I'm more saying like I'm talking about a very specific like the kind of erotica, like sort of things like 50 Shades of Grey type that deal. In
Yeah.
terms of, I'm essentially saying that genres are often confined to literary mediums versus genres existing in film. and that is part of where the reading aspect comes into play in its engagement with a genre that is limited to reading.
I mean, I would
But
say it's a
I
different kind of
disagree with that.
consumption. Like
Okay.
the different kind of consumption actually matters, I think, in those cases. Like having a visual stimulation in those cases is going to be a lot different than just having some sort of mental picture painted for you that's going to be stimulated.
But I disagree. Like, I think that if someone defines 50 Shades of Grey, and like, I think 50 Shades is like not porn because it wasn't written to be porn. But if I wrote down smut, if I wrote down porn, and then someone made a movie of it, and it's accurate to what I wrote, then I'd argue, and it's meant to like convey the purpose of what I wrote, I'd argue that that's just porn, and what I wrote is porn as well. So it's like, as long as the intent is like maintained through the mediums, I'd argue that it's either porn for both or neither. Yeah.
And my point isn't like, again, pornography is the broader terminology. I'm more referring to sort of why erotica is the term that I'm really gatekeeping here.
Why? I'm saying you shouldn't. That's my point.
Okay, well, again, like when you're dealing with a book versus like a script, you end up having always, the issue is not that, the issue, like the reason that you find movies always being so different from books and oftentimes seeming more surface level, or they even change the plot, is because in a movie you're dealing with a different medium because you're not reading. And audiobooks are not subject to this. Audiobooks will often remain identical to the actual to the sort of written on paper form.
I'm lost.
I'm still processing.
I'm so lost.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
If you can read a book, then you can watch an audio porn book. That's where I'm at.
You can you can watch an audio porn book?
Yeah, if you can read an audio book, then you can also watch an audio book. You can do both.
Well, wait, like, okay, no,
But the more
I
important question is
disagree.
how do you read a sound?
If
Wait.
that was true, that ruins your point about like the whole mystery and the clothing with the sex. No, this is bullshit.
Wait, and
This is
also,
nonsense.
I guess whoever considers audiobooks like reading, like, would you like if you're listening to whatever an audiobook erotica, or whatever, you're somehow listening to porn, would you say that you watch porn then? Or like for text to speech erotica, or text to speech porn, would you say that you watch porn in that case?
No, you're not. There's material that cannot be translated, like images, whereas like text can.
Like words on a
be
page?
translated. Words on a page can be translated by speech, whereas like you can't translate the video itself, so you wouldn't say you consumed the video.
No, but like if it's an actual like again like if it's like actual like literature, that like pretty much using sort of like Tom's example, like, you know, an audiobook, like listen to it, but you also then say that you watch porn. Like if you say,
wait, are audiobooks literature? Corey, I'm asking you specifically, are audiobooks literature? I think that's really the core question that I'm really concerned about in your very chauvinistic opinion around reading.
No, totally. I'm pretentious. I don't consider audiobooks literature.
Wait, but you have the same chauvinist opinion on what is erotica or not?
I do?
No.
Oh.
Zero did. I to understand the erotic point, you have to distinguish erotica from other forms for me. Like, how do you distinguish erotica from like the visual medium of porn? Like, how is that distinct? Because it's simply in a different like written context. Because as I'm saying, that's not enough
a large
for me.
part of it. I think there's also the aspect of essentially with one, it's the way you're engaging with it in terms of one, like with erotica, you actually have to essentially do the work of imagination. With pornography, you don't. And the whole, and a lot of actual tropes in porn, and a lot of sort of the way it's filmed, especially, has a lot to do with people not having to imagine as little as possible. Erotica often does the opposite.
But this is the same argument. Wait, this is the exact same argument I gave with reading. I said when you're reading something, you have to do the actual act of reading the words and translating them to understand them versus the passive action, which would be like the passive action of watching something, and you don't have to interpret anything if someone just reads. So you just hear
but we're talking about the
words
utility of
spoken to
the. We're talking about the utility of the action in each one of these. So for some sort of like pornography or erotica, the point is the stimulation that you get from it, and so it's different types or different ways of stimulating yourself in each version, and so that's like kind of the reason that there would be a distinction between the two.
Yeah, but that difference in stimulation is the same reason that you gave on why reading gives you better comprehension and better retention. Is because the different method that you are stimulated by. In the process
right.
that
Well,
you
this is
consume
why
it
I'm
through.
saying I would still call it reading, but I wouldn't say that it's that it was elitism. I felt like elitism was a poor way of describing it, but I would still call it reading.
Yeah, I don't know if I consider it elitism myself. I think that there are implicit assumptions made, but I don't think these are necessarily elitist assumptions. I think that there is merit to the assumption that people who read audiobooks predominantly and people who read books predominantly have different ways of engaging and are engaging for different reasons sometimes. But however, there are people who buy books and read the first 2 pages and don't like it and don't return it ever, and then they keep it in their house. Like we don't make we are more charitable towards those who read books than those who read audiobooks. That's one aspect. But I think for me, again, it comes down to sort of the difference in genre, the difference in function, and what is translated between the two. There is definitely a difference between audiobooks and in like sort of novels, in the sense of there's really 3 categories here that we're dealing with like, firstly there's films, audiobooks, and reading, but there's also the aspect of sort of the, like, you have visual, you have audio visual. Like for example, a movie is audio visual, and that means that you have to imagine, I think, is much less than you would with the other mediums. And with something like an audiobook, I think it's closer to reading than it is to movies. And that's why I would approximate and say reading. I do not. Obviously, you can say that you listen to an audiobook. That is completely valid, and that's, I think, that may be more accurate. However, I believe that saying the question of are audiobooks reading is about, are we excluding audiobooks from books? That's, I believe, the question really being asked at hand, honestly.
Well, I think this leads to maybe another question in terms of like, is someone reading on a tablet, like reading a book?
Absolutely.
Is screen reading like book reading?
I mean, that's what I brought up earlier. Is to say
I don't
like,
think
you didn't read a book just because it was a digital book would still be you like denying what is being communicated pragmatically in these scenarios.
Yeah, pragmatically. But
that's the question. The way that the question is worded is listening to an audiobook reading. It's asking, can that be reading? It's not saying, is there a better way to communicate this possibly, or can you be more specific? It's saying, if you say reading when you're talking about an audiobook, is that accurate? We would say, yeah, it's accurate, because that's what's being communicated.
You're consuming
pragmatically.
content. Yeah. Pragmatically, yeah, but you're consuming the content. You're not reading.
Well, but again, like, that is what the question is we're at. Like, it's a pragmatic question. It's asking, is this word communicating this in this scenario?
So actually, does it go in reverse? So let's say you just looked up some song lyrics. You've never heard this song before. If I asked you, do you listen to this? Have you listened to this song? You've only read the lyrics. Would you say yes, I've listened to it?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So let's say it's a song you've never heard. Okay, you just know the title of the song, and you've looked up the lyrics. Okay, and you've read the lyrics. Maybe you even memorized them. If I ask you the question.
Well, no, because there's a lot that you're still missing in there. Like,
I think, Corey, you're implicitly assuming that audiobooks are not the full experience. That's the implicit assumption here.
Yeah,
I've read lyrics. I'm the kind of nerd that finds a song that I like, and I've listened to it once on the radio or something, and then I look up the lyrics and I'll analyze them, because I'm a freaking literature nerd, and I know that is reading lyrics. It's performing a different function. It has a different utility. But when it comes to the aspect of, like, you have essentially, you've made clear that you are bigoted towards those that only view
100%.
audiobooks, and it comes down to the implicit assumption that essentially, okay, so you're saying that like the relationship between listening to a song and reading the lyrics, which are, in my opinion, functionally highly different, is the same as the difference between reading a book and listening to or reading an audiobook. And And I think that assumption holds an implicit bias that is unnecessary. And I would dare say elitist. Corey, you're my favorite academic, but you're still an academic.
Oh my god, yes.
I would
Tom,
argue
check your
that
DMs.
there are contexts where reading sheet music would get you everything that you would get from listening to a song. If we're talking about like a particular like composition rather than a recording itself, you could ask like, have you listened to Elite Syncopations by Scott Joplin, this like piano piece that was written a long time ago and doesn't have a definitive recording? And you're like someone who can read sheet music and you can just like look at those notes and know exactly what it sounds like. You could play it having read the sheet music yourself. I think you could say that if someone asks, have you heard it? You could say, yeah.
Important question for everyone. Is water wet?
No.
You heard it here first, folks, from the scientist.
Water is not wet. Water is a wetting agent.
Yeah.
I would say water.
That sounds correct.
I would say water is wet. Yeah.
Fun fact, technically humans don't actually have a sense that tells you if you're wet. Rather, you have the different senses relating to pressure, relating to heat and such that make clear to your body, yeah, you're submerged in water. But other animals actually have a direct sense that tells them they are wet or not. So therefore, I think it's pretty clear that maybe we don't have the greatest relationship with wetness.
Yeah.
Particularly Ben Shapiro, but the average
what
we're
are
like
the
that.
Hold on, because we're
no,
like
no,
as
those
hold on,
sensors aren't
wait.
sensing wetness. They're just sensing water.
No, they're sensing wetness. Like,
No,
your
they're
body
sensing-
can be tricked into believing that you're wet when it's not.
No,
You can
no,
sense
but-
water
but
with
no,
your eyes. You can sense
no, I'm
water
saying
by
these-
hearing it,
those
but you
other
cannot sense
animals that
wetness
he's
with your
talking
eyes.
about. Those
No.
animals aren't sensing wetness. They're sensing water. They're sensing H2O.
That's
That
not.
still
That is
doesn't
that
tell
is a
us
really
whether it's-
strange. Okay, can you not see water with your eyes? Can you not hear water? How can you not detect water without being wet?
Well, what?
That
Check.
is-
No,
You
you're
must.
mixing up two.
No,
You
check
you
the-
asked the question.
Okay.
You asked the question: is water wet? And then you brought up these other animals that can sense if water is wet. They're not sensing if it's wet. They are sensing water itself.
I'm gonna be totally
No, they are
pedantic.
But no,
experiencing
that's the
wetness.
same thing.
You cannot see water. You see water molecules, a collection of water molecules, but one single water you do not see.
Well, this is
Tom,
like asking if
Check your
heat,
DMs.
this is like asking if heat is hot. Like, yes, heat is obviously hot, and like and then you say, oh well, no, actually, heat is just
Heat is
making
much different
other
from water.
things hot. Well, no, it's not. It's not really.
You're comparing
because
energy to a molecule.
Yes, but
It's not going to be effective. This is like four elements type physics. This is not going to help. This is not useful. Massive reduction.
well, no, I'm saying that it's saying that water makes something else wet or is a wetting agent does not mean that now all of a sudden it's not also wet. Like,
Okay.
it can still be wet and be a wetting agent at the same time.
What is wetness? What do we refer to when we say something is wet?
It has liquid on it.
Okay. I'm
It has
tired.
water on it.
You
Too much
guys can
memeing.
You guys can continue this beautiful meme panel somewhere else if you want. I do not want to continue this.
I get it.
Everyone can shout themselves out if they want. Tom, you go first, then Corey, then Gloom.
Yeah, my name's Tom. I go by Tom Foolery Show on YouTube, youtube.com/Tom Foolery Show. Talk politics, philosophy, linguistics, and then mostly get into a lot of drama. So we'll be getting into Katie versus Vosh here shortly. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun.
That's gonna suck ass. Okay. Corey.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for inviting me. This is great, as always. And, there's some good alliteration with my name, Corey Campbell. And now, based off of this, Triple C Corey Campbell Conservative. I'll gladly take that branding. But yeah, you can find me on Twitch, although I'm not currently streaming on Twitch. I'm streaming on YouTube. But you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv Corey Campbell, where I typically stream. I'm a scientist. I'm a biochemist. And you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/it's Corey Campbell. And yeah, thank you for having me. Awesome.
Gloom.
Yeah, my name is Demi Gloom. I'm an 18-year-old trans woman and aspiring leftist content creator. I have a YouTube channel called Demi Gloom. That's DEMIGLOOM, where I post like short, kind of funny, kind of serious political, I guess you could call them video essays. They're not super long though. They're just more fun. And I also host a podcast called Middle School GSA, which is available on all podcast platforms as well as YouTube, where me and my good friend Felonious Ferris talk about leftist topics and just like general political, philosophical, cultural things from a trans perspective. And it's fun. You should go check it out.
Thanks. Zero?
So I moderate for Corey Campbell's community. Strongly recommend him. But I also run decent side. Like I do Twitter. I host spaces there on the Jank Spaces. I try and talk about really all types of fields. I'm like poetry, philosophy, politics, all the deal. I'm very much sort of all that. But I also have a lot of hot takes. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter as Zero Chicken Philosopher, or I'm at Zero on Elite.
Thanks. Coco.
I'm a coconut strawberry. I don't really stream, but if you need to find me, I'm usually in Katie's chat, waiting to get banned. Usually happens about once a stream, but even if I'm banned, I'm still there. So if you need to get in contact with me, that's where you can find me.
Thank you so much for coming, and not thank you for making it really, really awful at the end. But the not end part was fun. I like that, so that was good. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you. Later, all. Pleasure.
Bye.
Later, guys.
Oh, second. Oh, well, I guess it got heated. I don't think it actually got heated. Since I think everyone recognizes the topics were not serious at all. I would say totally got passionate at some point. My actual takes, I was just like being pretentious for the sake of it at some points. I have no problem calling audiobooks. That's not a battle that I really want to fight all that much. But I do enjoy sometimes being pedantic. Where it's like, yeah, in reality, if like Tom actually said, he read the book, he actually listened to it on audiobook, I wouldn't really like call him out on it. But yeah, that was great. I don't think so. I have a decent amount of content planned. Think I'm going to end the stream here, but yeah, tomorrow I should be back streaming back on Twitch. I'm scheduled to have another conversation, a one-on-one conversation with Johnny Scarlett, where who had a great discussion exactly last week on Wednesday, and I think we're gonna have just another great discussion tomorrow, probably on a number of topics. We'll find out. And then I should be back again on Friday. I'm not sure if I'm probably going to stream that on YouTube again, because it's basically another panel. Not a meme panel, but not a super serious panel. It's basically, we're going to, Wick, the Twitch streamer, twitch.tv, Wick TV, basically, who's a centrist. Basically, we're going to attempt to gang up on Wick, fellow leftists, including Katie, who you just saw, to hopefully take Wick to task for being a centrist, and hopefully convert them, more on the left, and less of a fence sitter, or hopefully less of a centrist. So that's scheduled for Friday, at around the same time as today, I think 6 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturday, scheduled, it's a science stream, but it should be a collaboration science stream with Neuralicia, neuroscientist, PhD candidate in neuroscience, where we're going to be going over a paper, and I'll probably ask some other, neuroscience related questions, and probably if you have neuroscience or psychology related questions, you should have an opportunity to ask them there. So that's what's scheduled on Saturday. Should be Saturday evening. I'm gonna update the Discord on like pretty much full actual schedule. We'll probably start doing that routinely. But I would say this is a good successful test of the YouTube streaming. Also a good successful test of my connection. I changed a couple of settings in my OBS, and so far I don't think I've lost connection. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm streaming on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe YouTube is more stable than Twitch. But I'm hoping I have solved my connection issue. But at the end of the day, even though I have quite a few things scheduled, I should still be, let's say, streaming. If some of the talks or panels fall through, I should be streaming content. I still have a bunch of content that I want to get through, or I also want to cover some science and research. Yeah, I don't think there's any deviation at all between us, the Furious Brother. I was looking at the question, did you X is flawed and should be reported to you? Yeah. Where, if I'm being super pedantic, okay, and I totally have a super pedantic side to me, that, I try to keep in check. Where I would be more in favor of people saying they consume something, than them saying they read something, when they actually listen to it. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna fight someone over this. I don't care all that much. Just like I was being pedantic with whatever the Stephen Hawking example and like a speaking event. I have no problem saying Stephen Hawking can speak, even though it's like text to speak. I was pretty much on Xeron's side in reality in terms of expanding language, and not really gatekeeping all that much definitions and language. But every once in a while, it's good to bring up my pedantic side. I don't get to exercise it all that much. But yeah, that's what I have planned for Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So like for the next 4 days, I should be streaming 3 out of the 4 days. And I might be streaming I'm going to attempt to stream on Twitch tomorrow. Because I have that conversation with Johnny Scarlett. If I encounter connection issues again, I was planning on streaming to Twitch, like, starting now, to just test out my connection, and maybe tweak some settings. But it seems like so far things are holding up. So I'm hoping I've solved my connection issue. But if I encounter connection issues tomorrow, probably on Thursday, I don't have any content that I'm gonna cover, but I'll probably be streaming just to mess some settings. Basically a test stream. Yeah, that's what I have planned the next few days. I mean, the gym stream I've seen, they're quite Twitch, but yeah, I recognize. And also, if you want ad-free viewing, so even when I'm streaming on Twitch, there should be a YouTube stream. So if you want ad-free viewing, I think YouTube is the place to go. Probably not as good of a chat, no access to emotes and all that stuff. But I understand if you want ad-free viewing, YouTube should be the place to be, at least for now, and probably for like a long foreseeable future. But with that, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you everyone that passed by. Actually exceeded my expectations in terms of I expected no one really to show up for the content, just because like I never market my YouTube channel or to even make anybody aware of it. But super appreciated anyone coming to support and engage. And yeah, this was great. So until next time, I was always going to say find someone to rate, but I don't know how to rate on YouTube. And I don't think you can. But yeah, until next time, take care, be well. Thank you, The Furious Brother. Thank you, The Peer Review. Thank you, Bob Marley. Always super appreciated. And I should be back tomorrow. If anything changes, I will update the Discord. Yeah, take care, be well.